and then.
There we go. It says we're recording
Okay.
now.
Mhm.
All right. Welcome, everyone. This is the October 16th meeting of the Portsmouth Committee on Arts and Nonprofits. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. And right now it is 12:05 p.m. And we have, just so everyone on the Zoom link is aware, we have a slight technology snafu. Really, all that means is that the people who are here in the conference room cannot see the people who are on Zoom on the screen. I can see all of you on the computer here, but they can't see you. And the audio is only going through the laptop here. It's not going through the sound system here. So I just ask for your patience when you chime in and ask a question, because I'm probably going to have to repeat what you say for the people in the room, and we'll do a little bit of playing telephone, and hopefully I'll do better than the average third grader on it. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, we have an agenda today before us, and there are a few things on here I want to bring to attention right up front. We at this moment do not have a quorum in person here, so we will be skipping past point 2, the approval of minutes, because we will not be taking any actions or any voting within this meeting. It'll just be an informational meeting. And the other thing I want to mention is that item 7, the presentation from legal and the tax assessors department, we heard from legal and the tax assessor on Friday, and unfortunately they are not going to be attending the meeting today. They did express interest in potentially coming to a meeting next year, which would mean that they would probably need to go to a meeting of the new Cultural Commission as opposed to this group, because this group sunsets at the end of the calendar year. But you know, the discussion and potential discussion of the impact of new questionnaires and things related to property tax exemption for nonprofit organizations, particularly arts and culture nonprofit organizations in our community. That discussion will have to unfortunately be put on hold until we're able to have them come and join us for a meeting. So just those 2 notes on the agenda going forward. So that said, the first thing on the agenda is a welcome, and I do want to, and I'm sure Barbara wants to as well, welcome all of you back to meeting in a group. I think for the first time since May or June of this year, we've taken a long break as we've been working with the cultural plan subcommittee, and we'll talk about that today, and a lot of work has happened, but welcome back. We're planning meetings this month, November and December, to wrap the work of this committee as it sunsets with the end of this council session. So we're looking forward to 3 very productive meetings and a lot of work to do over the next few months to submit the final report to the City Council in December. Barbara, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
Well, I don't know, Russ. Would it help if you put a microphone to the speaker on your computer?
Can people hear?
I can hear her.
We can, as long as we're quiet in the room, everyone can hear you.
Okay. Well, yeah, I just want to kind of what Russ said. Hi, everybody. And it's been a super busy summer, even though this group hasn't been meeting. And want to thank you all for returning, and also upfront mention that please remember, if you haven't already and you're interested in being a part of the new commission, please go on the city clerk's website and download the application and complete that, and also know how you're applying, whether you're applying as an individual who must reside in Portsmouth or as a representative of your nonprofit organization, which means you do not have to reside in Portsmouth. So please make sure, if you're interested or someone from your organization is interested, that you get that paperwork into the city clerk.
Thank you, Barbara. I'll also mention right up front that the representatives from Arts Consulting Group arrived in town, and I actually stopped by the Historic Society building this morning to say hello and greet them before their first session this morning. And they're underway. They're in the process of doing their second focus group right now already. So I touched base with Sean, and he said things are going really well this morning, and they seemed very happy to be here. So we're excited to have that cultural planning work underway this week.
Can I
Yes.
jump in there?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Jeff.
I got an email from Sean about the city tour tomorrow morning.
Okay.
And I was hoping to have a discussion about that, who else is gonna be on it or whatever, stops that I should make, making sure and get some advice about what time to start, to make sure that places like the music hall are open and stuff like that.
Well,
So,
let's do that in a minute under part point 4, cultural plan update. We'll take care of that. We'll make sure we address that. So make sure I don't forget about that when we get there. We're just gonna talk about after
so
first.
can you jump to that before, after, and then I can go?
Oh, yeah, sure. Why don't we do that? So we're gonna move the cultural plan update number 4 to the next item on the agenda. So Jeffrey can he doesn't have to stick around for this meeting. He's with the cultural plan subcommittee. And let's talk about that right away then. So we want to do a tour tomorrow. We only have one focus group tomorrow. I believe it's at 4 p.m. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So there's a 4 p.m. focus group tomorrow, which leaves most of the daytime available for our visitors from Arts Consulting Group. And Jeffrey's been working with Sean, who unfortunately is not in the room at the moment, to organize a tour, an opportunity for the representatives from Arts Consulting Group to go through the community, see some arts organizations and see the community. So Jeff, why don't you go ahead and fill in a little bit what you're looking for right now?
Well, working with Sean is a strong statement, because Sean wrote to me, picked up on the idea that I had already floated and say, can you do it tomorrow? I said, sure. But, you know, I'm saying working with is like, I haven't done any planning at all for it, any timing or, you know, rehearsed some ideas in my head about places to stop. But, you know, in terms of that, some guidance, you know, I mean, you know, talking about where to stop. I mean, I was thinking to start at Prescott Park, go to Strawberry Bank. Since I have a key to Temple Israel, I can walk through there and show off my own work.
Come to the Seacoast Rep and I'll let you in. and do a tour.
Seacoast Rep.
I'll do a
Okay,
tour.
what time would you be there?
I have, it would have to be relatively early. I have a showing at 11 a.m. I have to leave at about 10:40 for that. So if we could do 10 o'clock at the Rep,
10 a.m.
I could do a tour myself.
The music hall lobby doesn't open till 12,
Okay.
so
They're going to be at PMAC on Wednesday, so I don't know that there's a need for an extra tour.
Okay.
What date is this, tomorrow?
This is tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
This is tomorrow.
welcome
Is-
to
maybe
come by
Tina could
3S.
get them in earlier.
Okay, 3S. What time does your building open, Beth?
We're actually not open to the public on Tuesday, but I will be here all day. So just give me a roundabout time and I'll meet you and open the gallery.
What
All right.
time is she saying? I didn't catch
She's
that.
she's around during the day, like 9 a.m. you're in?
Sure. Yep.
10 a.m.
What time are
You're
they?
in at 7, aren't you? No.
So what if I tried to get there at 10:30, right after Seacoast Rep? How long do you
So-
think we need?
Perfect.
Yeah, 10:30. All right, that sounds good.
10 at the
Is
Rep.
Tina on the call, Russ?
Tina is on the call.
So maybe
Hi
she
there.
can ask about,
Yeah, we have an all staff meeting tomorrow, so actually 12, anytime after 12 is best. We won't have people available till then.
So if they aimed for noon, that works good for you?
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's Tina speaking.
Yes.
Okay.
Russ, or Jeff, what time are they going to be at PMAC on Wednesday? Because
So PMAC is 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then they have their next session, I believe, at 11 a.m. at the Historic Society. So it might, maybe they should come to PMAC in New Hampshire Theater Project tomorrow, just because they're going to be in a rush to get out of there to get back to the Historic Society for the 11 a.m. session.
Okay.
would have to be afternoon for
12 to
us.
12:30. So I could be there like 1 to 1:30.
On our end of town, yeah,
Well, we're gonna be probably walking.
that works for me.
All right, well, maybe
Don't
what I
forget
should
that you
do
have
is
to eat.
I'll keep all your phone numbers with me. So
They-
that
yes,
if we're
they
a
do.
little ahead of schedule or behind schedule, I can just give a ring.
Yeah, I think so.
Can I interject here?
Yeah, go right ahead, Barbara.
So I think what we need to do is look at this in forms of like 2 pods, right? So visit 1 is gonna be the downtown pod. So that's gonna be Prescott Park, Strawberry Bank, Seacoast Rep, Music Hall, and 3S.
Athenaeum?
Maybe, maybe it's Mona, maybe it's Athenaeum. So that's gonna go from
Right.
like
And it's
9 in the
also a
morning
walk
to
down
at least
Series
noon.
Street.
Hold on a
then-
second, Jeff. Go ahead, Barbara.
then pod 2 is gonna be, well, actually, pod 2 is gonna be like 12:30 on, because music hall opens at noon. And that's gonna mean driving this group, however many there are, from the downtown to wherever. So if you're thinking Button Factory, if you're thinking New Hampshire Theater Project, if you're thinking statues or outdoor art, that's in the afternoon. So I'm just thinking, let's strategize and put this in 2 pods. And if we can't fit everybody tomorrow, they might have some time on Wednesday or Thursday.
So this is what I would suggest. Is there anyone in the room right now who's able to join Jeffrey and our guests for the morning pod and visit, definitely it shouldn't be an issue to get to Strawberry Bank, Seacoast Rep, obviously, the music hall, 3S Art Space. I'm not sure what's going to be happening at Prescott Park. We'll have to reach out to, their team. I'm not sure if Courtney's back in town yet. And figure that out. But is there someone who can join Jeffrey on that walking tour in the morning tomorrow?
I might be able to, but I have to check something.
So maybe
So I'll
Robin.
take Jeff's cell.
Because what I was going to say is actually if we time the afternoon from like 1 o'clock onward, we could do a 1 to 3:30 tour, so they have a little time to get lunch somewhere, and I could take my car and take them around the rest of the town that time, take them over to Pro Portsmouth, take them to wherever else we decide we want to go.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that you make sure you don't miss some of our small venues.
Yeah.
Like the Players Ring and,
Oh,
kind
yes,
of highlights, here's
right.
the Gundalo and,
Right, this Players Ring is right at Strawberry Bank.
right.
And
Yeah.
it's like the walk from Strawberry Bank, from the park to Strawberry Bank is right there.
Right.
So then I can walk, over Seacoast Rep. You can do Ceres Street, and the galleries there, and a walk
So
back.
my suggestion would be to try and do it either in 90 minutes to 2 hours and keep it as tight as possible. So we may not be able to spend a half hour at one venue. It might be a little tighter than that, because if you do 90 minutes in the morning and 90 minutes in the afternoon, that's 3 hours of their day. The other thing is I would recommend not starting before 10 or 10:30 in the morning, or maybe 10 would be the start time because of Jason's schedule. But I know that they got in particularly late last night, and I wouldn't want to if they don't have a meeting till 4 o'clock tomorrow, I don't want to have them up at 7 or 8 or in the morning having to go around and tour. Give them a little rest. Someone's flight came in at 2 a.m. yesterday in Boston, and they were in a meeting this morning at 8. So that's tough.
It will have to, for the rep, it has to be 10. I've got 10 to 10:30 and
Okay.
I'm out of the pocket otherwise.
So they can start at the rep.
All right, I'll start at the
They're
Rep
actually-
at
is that
10.
right next to the Hotel Portsmouth?
Yeah.
That's where they're
Oh, no,
staying.
no.
No.
Oh, that's the old
It's
site.
it's a diagonal hike.
Got it.
Um,
It's not too far though. No.
I was also
No.
gonna suggest that you don't miss like Jimmy's.
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
The press room.
Yeah.
So, I mean, our for-profit venues are still really
In
a
the
part
press
of our
room.
art scene, so.
And we can divide it up in a way. When I have my car in the afternoon, we can still go to places like Jimmy's and stuff like that. So if it feels like a tight time crunch to get to everything, and Jimmy's, I don't know when their box office opens.
Probably noon.
I can text Suzanne and see if I can get into the building and give them a tour, or Peter, and figure that out. Okay.
Okay, so we'll start at Seacoast Rep at 10, and then we can walk towards the park,
Well-
Strawberry Bank, and kind of make a circuit.
Yeah, why don't we take a little time this afternoon, Jeffrey, to on email create a schedule?
Okay,
And
Yeah.
if I'm able, and I'll jump in and I'll call Jeff because I'm so close, I could pick them up at Hotel Portsmouth
Yep.
and walk them to the Rep,
That would be great.
okay,
I love
as
that.
opposed to just saying, find the Rep.
Yeah,
okay, because you're right across the street.
Across the street, yeah.
yeah, that's
And if-
perfect.
That's one more time. It's gotta be 10.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
so I would pick them up at 9:45.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
If you need any other assistance, I'm available
But
at
I have to
about
check my
10:30,
calendar,
from
Yeah.
10:30 to
which is
through the
not
midday. if you need
Okay,
anyone
so
else.
I will
So,
make a rough draft of an hour and a half to 2 hours, starting at the Rep and making some sort of a circuit, and send it to you and to you for confirmation. So in terms of history of the Button Factory, I mean, do you have all that down? from the early days and all of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want to give them a copy of the book, the history?
If you have a copy,
I
I'd love
think I
that.
have a couple extra copies.
Yeah, I'd love to get that digitized too, if it's not
The
already.
history of the
digitized.
button factory?
No,
No,
it's
it's the
the-
history of the year
the
two
shipyard
thousand,
project.
the whole shipyard project and everything that
Oh.
came from that, and the first cultural plan that came from that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the-
I have the cultural plan digitized. I'd
I
love to
do
get
have
it
it
digital.
digitized.
Yeah.
John did it. I can send it
Yeah,
to
if you
you.
could send
So,
that around.
I
that'd
have
be
a
great.
copy of the Prescott Park Arts Master Plan
Yep.
from 2017.
Yeah, well,
which
I
is
mean,
on the
I think
shelf.
it's good to have information
bet
for them.
you
I don't want to overwhelm them tomorrow. What I'd like to do is maybe, when we plan this afternoon, Jen, maybe on Wednesday when they do is it possible for them at 10 or 10:15 a.m. on Wednesday to walk over to NHTP instead of tomorrow? Or is that bad? time?
Yes, it's possible. I just texted Sean. I don't know what's going on there
Okay.
anymore. So, but
Okay.
yes, I have an 11.
I'm just
o'clock
thinking
meeting anyway,
about
so-
like not overwhelming with too much in too short a period of time. Since they're going to be at PMAC on Wednesday morning, they could do a PMAC tour right when they arrive. Then on their way from PMAC back to the Historic Society, they could go through New Hampshire Theater Project. And then we head over and I can bring them over to the other location. But I want to make sure that we don't have it. I want it to be a meaningful experience for them. And chances are we're not going to be able to get absolutely everywhere. There's just too many sites to visit. So we're going to have to pick and choose what's available and who responds to messages really quickly.
I would suggest that, the players ring, I think you can point it out and describe what's there. I don't know that you need to
Right.
do all the email calling back
Yeah.
and forth. and
Yeah,
back
for
and forth
sure.
So that they can go in for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry that they couldn't. It's because it's
Yeah.
not going to be open in the morning. but
Right,
I
right.
think that
Yeah.
you could just be there.
Right, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do everything.
Yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to bring up was that Tom has 9 chairs and I think there's 13 signed up. So can we get some folding chairs over to Sash and Solder?
Yeah, I
What?
guess so.
Where?
Sash
So
and
it's the
Solder,
Button
that's
Factory,
the Button
first floor of the
Factory
Button
with-
Oh, the
Factory.
Button Factory. Oh,
There's no one in
It's-
the Button Factory that has chairs they can loan to another studio?
Well, I didn't go walking around the Button Factory. It just seemed that if we had a half a dozen folding chairs in a car, we could just drop them off sometime today or tomorrow.
at one of the focus groups.
That's tomorrow at 4. So what I'll do is when we plan the schedule for tomorrow, I won't do the Button Factory tour until they want to head over to the Button Factory and we'll do it right beforehand and I'll bring PMAC chairs. And we're solved.
Okay.
How many do you need, Jeffrey?
Well, he said he has 9 chairs and there's 13 signed up.
I'll bring
plus the
8.
2 of them is, yeah, that'd be great.
We'll figure it out. All
I
right.
would offer ours, but they're precarious.
No, mine are easy. Yeah,
No.
they're easy. Since I'm gonna be touring them around anyway, I can throw them in the back of the car. It's fine.
Okay. All right, so I'll write a tentative schedule and send it to you and Robin.
Okay, and I'm
And I'll
sorry, I
see you
don't, my phone isn't
10
updated.
o'clock.
I'll see what, I'll
10
pick them
o'clock
up at a
at
quarter
Seacoast
of.
Road.
I'll have a little time between 2:30 and 3:30 today to do any type of coordinating on this. So that's your window with me. Okay, today. So just
Okay.
give me an email before 2:30 and I can respond to it.
All right,
Okay,
all right, thank you.
all right. Thank you. Bye, Jeffrey.
Thank
Can
you.
I interject something at this point? I didn't want to get in the middle of the conversation.
Go right ahead, Ellen.
remotely.
Go ahead.
It would be great if you're walking downtown, if you could at least show them the Athenaeum on the ground floor and just talk about that as another arts facility.
Yeah, that was mentioned.
Especially because so unfortunately I have COVID, which is why I am not there.
Sorry, Ellen.
And I cannot be the person who's the point
I can-
person, but if you would like me to have somebody meet them when you work out the schedule, I can take responsibility for finding somebody. Okay.
Okay.
Right.
All right. I appreciate that. Thank you, Ellen.
Or if I'm around, I can let you in.
Okay.
Into the Athenaeum?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll talk to her. So
Oh.
that Ellen doesn't have to do that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Ellen. Anything else on the cultural plans that we need to talk about as a group? Or maybe, I mean, I think everyone here sits in on the cultural planning meetings. I don't think we have anyone on this meeting who hasn't been sitting on the meetings. Does anyone have any questions about what's going on in the cultural plan at this moment?
It's just what's
Russ,
happening-
maybe we should talk about Thursday, what,
Yeah, let's talk about Thursday, Lloyd. Go ahead, Barbara.
well, no, I just didn't know if everybody realizes that we're meeting with the consultant on Thursday.
So is everyone aware that we have a 4-hour meeting in this room on Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
With whom?
with ACG?
But who is attending that meeting?
Both committees, the Cultural Plan Subcommittee and this committee.
And when is that?
This Thursday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Remember,
that
this
is-
was the
You may
big,
not
this
have
was the
known
big
that.
deal because Sean is bringing lunch.
Sean's bringing lunch. And yeah, this is when they're going to help get us up to speed to where they are at this point in the process, right, Barbara?
Yes.
So it's kind of a double work session. They wanted two 2-hour work sessions with us, and we opted to combine it into one 4-hour work session.
That's why I think I had it on my calendar for 12 to 2.
Yeah. So, and one of them, I believe, has to do with the survey and the Zoom sessions. And then and maybe the focus groups combined in with that. I'm not sure if the focus group was separate. And then the other one has to do with the data that we need going forward for the writing of the plan, I believe. And just the preliminary stuff. So we're going to get a lot of preliminary information at this point and next steps. Does that sound accurate, Barbara?
Yeah, for those who weren't here, 2 weeks ago, we had a focus group with them.
Yep.
So that's one important piece of information. Then the second one is the Zoom focus groups they've been doing. Then there's the survey that they were doing. And then there's the in-person. So the in-person might be a little like, they might not be able to give us everything because they'll just have finished them like hours before. But their idea is to get us all the possible information they have so that we'll see what the first draft of this cultural plan is going to start to look like.
Questions? I'm sure there are questions.
I just wonder if
So
that's.
will
a
I
use of
be able
people's-
to participate?
Oh, sorry.
Why don't we go with Ellen first and then Tina?
I'm sorry, it's hard remotely. So will I be able to participate remotely in that conversation?
Yeah, I think we can make an accommodation for that, Ellen. That's not a problem. Go ahead, Tina.
Okay,
Yeah, so just for
Thanks.
clarity there, so that is to do somewhat of a debrief of what they've been hearing through all this information collecting sessions. Is that correct? And that's the information that's going into a first draft that we would have also the opportunity to read before it's finalized? Is that the intent of the meeting on Thursday?
I believe so. It's part of their scope of work, and I think this is part of a transition from one phase of work to the next phase of work, of going from the data collection and community input phase into the initial draft phase of the work. So my understanding is that they wanted, especially since they happen to be in here in person this week, an opportunity to interact with us as they go from this transition from data collection and input collection to beginning to put together information that will eventually end up into the initial draft of the plan. So I think it's important for those who can be there to be there, because this is a big chunk of what we invested in having this group do for us.
Could we ask them to send out a mock-up or a draft agenda so we could have an understanding of, I mean, 4 hours is a long chunk of time
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah, I'll ask them for an agenda.
That would be helpful, just that maybe we could all gauge, reworking calendars if needed and trying to navigate a way to get there. I hope I'm not speaking for myself, but I'd love
No,
to be
you're
there.
you're speaking for more than yourself. I am trying very hard to get there in person, and I apologize for being so remote so much of the time lately. I'm excited to try to get there. This is also our biggest week with Project Upcycle, and we're welcoming 8 designers from out of state on Thursdays. So
Mm.
it's a very busy day for us.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, you know what? I'm going to interject again, Beth and Tina. Remember, we want everybody there. However, this is the cultural subcommittee still doing their work. So you absolutely are welcome. Would love you there, believe me. But there's a whole group of people that you don't see in the room today that have been working on this. And because they have all the minutia, they're going to be the ones that are really key to the consultant having this conversation. So if you have other things to do, and we know 4 hours is a lot, but please know that you're absolutely welcome and we want you there. But if you can't, we totally get it. And the subcommittee, let me tell you, they have been all over this project and doing a fantastic job. And any draft they get will absolutely have to go to the bigger committee to get approved, so that then it can go to the council to be approved and included. So there are still a few steps before anything final is going to come forward.
And I'll add to Barbara's comments that that's the reason there's no one here today from the cultural planning subcommittee, because they realized they had to be here for 4 hours on Thursday. So it was a lot of time to commit in 1 week. So they stepped aside from this meeting that was initially going to be a combined meeting and said, let's just do all our work on Thursday. So that's where the focus is. And really, they're not doing any subcommittee work. It's really all ACG leading everything that's happening on Thursday. There's not any type of minutes or reports or anything like that going on. It's all ACG. Any other questions before we move forward? All right, let's jump back to the AFTA study. Robin.
Okay.
Oh, and I'll
Oh.
preface this. Robin and I talked about this before the meeting. For those of you who have been in any of the advance informational meetings with AFTA or received any information in your email about results from the survey, just a reminder that this is a public meeting that's being recorded and will be posted online. And we're currently under an embargo on any information that's yielded by the report. It will all be released in due time. So please, no references to any of the data that we might be aware of at this point that is not yet public. All right, go ahead, Robin.
Caveat. Good disclaimer. Well, disclaimer. So just a reminder that for the Arts and Economic Prosperity 5 study, which was last time, we got our information in June. And then Randy Cohn, the Vice President of Research from AFTA, came and did some presentations in September. We are going very, very, very soon as we can just make sure the list that we have of the organizations, the nonprofits that did participate in the financial report, as soon as we know that we have that correct, we will send everybody we will send those people the information, everybody who participated, we will send it. We have it. We have a 1-pager and like a 60-pager. So you will get that very soon. Just please be careful about disseminating. Once that's released to you, though, please do be careful about disseminating. You'll get a little email. If you need it to show your sponsors, if you need it for a grant, use it, but please don't write your own press release and do that. That we're kind of holding off a bit till Randy comes on January 11th and 12th. There'll be a chamber breakfast at Seacoast Rep. They'll speak to the Rotary. And the next day, there'll be a nonprofit workshop and how best to use the data at 3S. So we thank our hosts for that. They're asking us, because of different methodologies, not to compare it to last time, but I just can't help myself. And I don't think you're going to be able to help yourselves either. But a lot of it has to do with some methodology, but also, there's a big cost of living factor in here besides COVID. So we're excited. I'm sorry I can't say anything numerically on the at this time, but please know you're going to be getting it as soon as we clear up and we make sure that that spreadsheet is correct and verify everything. We'll send you links. So very excited. Thank you.
Thank
Ian.
you, Robin.
Any questions?
No, but I will share the good news is that the Rotary has already been getting all of their national presidential candidates for speakers. So January is confirmed and should be fine for Randy to speak there. Kate, I always worry about someone being bumped for a national candidate, that time of year, but we've already had the big ones come through already. They're doing everything early. So we should be all set, and I've confirmed him with the Rotary Club for the
Right.
noontime club. That day he's here on that Thursday.
And I think that's when he'll get into all the kind of cost of living things and way to do it. And, but anyway, you'll get it soon, and it's really, really interesting. Just to note that we pretty much had the same number of nonprofits participate both times, so there's nothing off on that.
Mhm. Excellent. Any questions for Robin?
No questions, but I just want to say that, we have a newfound relationship with Rita Moreno and Josh Groban as a result of all
Right.
this. So I
And
think
Fran
that's,
Drescher, don't forget Fran Drescher.
and Fran Drescher, right. So they were all on the big, release last week. It was, and quite entertaining.
I'm sorry. I
And
had to
Brian
miss
Stokes
that.
Mitchell.
Oh, Anais was on there?
No, Brian Stokes Mitchell.
Oh, Brian Stokes Mitchell. Okay.
Right.
Nice. All right,
Hold
excellent.
on.
All right, thank you very much, Robin. So the next big thing on our agenda is what we need to do between now and the end of the year to put together a year-end report for the city council. And honestly, I've spent the summer thinking about the cultural plan and working that process forward and participating in the subcommittee, and haven't thought a lot about this. Mainly because the cultural plan and the AFSA that we just referenced are the two big items that we do have to report on to the city council. I guess my first question is, I want to make sure we fully understand which council meeting we're going to be reporting at and work our way backwards so that we, and make sure that we can get ourselves on the agenda. You know,
Yes.
that's always a concern.
The last city council meeting of the year is December the 18th. And so the reports and the preparation would all have to be in before the 13th to make the agenda.
All right, and that's a 7 p.m. meeting?
It's a 7 p.m. meeting on the 18th.
I can't imagine doing the final report and not giving some data at that, even though Randy's not coming till January 11th. I can't imagine not giving some key data at that report. We'll have to decide about that, but.
Well, are we allowed to?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
As soon as we send it out to you, yeah, we're good.
Okay, so
It's not embargoed.
at that point, when it's out in the public, I think that's fine. I don't think we're gonna do the same in-depth presentation. I think it's just a
some
teaser.
highlights.
It's a teaser that
Okay.
encourages them to come and hear the
Mhm.
details.
Yes, okay, good.
So I agree. I think that's a good idea.
And that's a good way. to
You
put it.
know, I almost would rather go to the meeting 2 weeks before that. That last meeting of the year always tends to be a bit of celebratory with music, and the
Yep.
schools come in and
Yes.
please don't not understand me. I think that's wonderful, but in the interest of brevity and getting in and giving our report and letting the council do their thing, I would almost rather go on the 2nd of December.
Is it the 2nd or the
It's
4th?
the 4th
Oh, the
of
4th,
December,
4th
so
of
the
December,
deadline.
sorry.
Yeah, the 4th of December, my deadline to submit items for the agenda is the 29th, Wednesday, the 29th at noon.
Yeah.
But the staff submits everything on Tuesdays. So by end of day Tuesday, the 28th of November.
So here are my concerns, Barbara. Tuesday, the 28th of November, which is the deadline, is Giving Tuesday. I don't know how much other organizations are involved with that, but it's on the heels of Thanksgiving weekend, and there's a holiday, and some of us take a few days off right around then. I'm okay with not being involved with the actual city council presentation. I don't feel like I have to be there, but on the 4th, I have an event with my organization. That's an annual event that I can't miss. So I'm unavailable for the 4th. So I'm okay with it. And I do understand what you're saying. I also don't know if the meeting on the 18th is purposefully lighter or if it's purposefully heavier because of its placement in the calendar.
No, it's about
It's-
finishing business for the year. I mean, so anything, the council has a lot on its plate right now for things that have to be finished out. So all of our ordinances have to finish the review by the 18th. I think that we don't have any more coming up. I think most of them will be finished by the 4th.
Yeah.
And we'll have some end of year reports.
Yep.
On the 18th. We'll also have end of year appointments,
Mhm.
but that's not a major thing. All of our land use boards seem to appoint in December. So
Okay.
those all come up in December. But there's nothing else that I can think of that's really critical
Uh-huh.
that is scheduled currently for December 18th.
So, I mean, I certainly from my participation would appreciate the later meeting, the 18th, just because of the time crunch and the weeks leading up to it and the fact that I can't be there on the 4th. But if the group wants to do the 4th, I'm totally fine with it.
No, you know what? The 18th is fine, Russ. Here's the other
Okay.
thing. We did not submit anything to the city. We were a verbal report, so
Yeah.
we don't have to, we just have to, I believe, get on the agenda and have them approve our presentation. You and I didn't hand them anything.
Yeah, and honestly, Counselor Cook, that's the way that ArtSpeak, I believe, used to do it, which is we would show up, we would read something and we would hand it to the counselors at the meeting. There was never anything that went in advance in the packet. And I don't know that there's really a need for it in this particular case. It's just a report. And nothing actionable that the council's going to be expected to do anything about that night. So I'm happy to go with whatever works for you, but traditionally we've just come and read a report and handed it over as a text.
That's pretty typical. When we have presentations, they're scheduled before. That the great thing about a presentation is they come before
Yep.
all of our other debate.
Yeah, early in
Uh,
the meeting, yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
people frequently hand us their presentation.
Okay,
So
excellent.
I think we can go with the 18th,
I'm fine with that, but
if Barb's okay.
And remember this too, everybody, when Russ and I did this back in 21, our report was really, really long because this is the stuff we were saying we needed to do, what we're going to talk
Yeah.
about in December. So this report is going to be a slightly different tone. I don't know if we need to go point by point on what we accomplished and what we didn't. That may be the starting place, Russ, where we look at 21 and go, did that, didn't get the money, whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
But I see it as being much simpler because kind of the stars of the show, if you will, are after study, cultural plan, ordinance, new ordinance, and new commission. And that's kind of it.
well, I don't want to gloss over the fact that 2 years ago we requested AFTA funds and they were never awarded. So I think it's important to say that in public. in
Oh,
front
I
of the
do too.
council.
I do too.
And not AFTA, ARPA.
ARPA, yes, thank you.
I got my acronyms confused, and thank you, because this is going on YouTube. I meant American
ARPA, yeah.
Recovery Plan,
mhm.
Rescue Plan, American Rescue Plan. So, yes. So, as you just mentioned, AFTA cultural plan, the ordinance
And the new commission.
and the new commission, which is tied into the ordinance.
Mhm.
I think we should acknowledge and acknowledge the fact that we didn't actively play a role in it, but acknowledge the fact that over the past 2 years, while we've been meeting, the city has also put together the Public Art Review Committee. I
Mhm.
think just the acknowledgement of that is really important.
Mhm.
What about the marketing project with
We should
the
mention the marketing
chamber.
project, definitely.
I was trying to figure out what year that fell in.
Yeah, that's
Thank
what
you,
I was
Jen.
thinking.
Yeah.
It was
That
20
was
thank you.
after our 2021 report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Jen.
yeah. So the marketing project, a pilot, I'll call it.
Well, that's why if we look at the report from 21 and literally go point by point, I think that's our guide for what this report is going to look like, what we accomplished, what we didn't, and what it meant.
Mhm.
Any other overarching thoughts about how we should be approaching it? Because we're not going to write it right now, but I want to know, as Barbara and I go to work and call on each of you to help us get input on this between now and our November meeting. Is there anything we should be thinking of?
Are we going to PowerPoint it?
Yes, we'll
Okay.
do a PowerPoint.
That'll be good.
Yeah, we did that last time too. And I think it's really helpful.
Well, I think it's just interesting because initially wasn't this committee formed to talk about helping the arts and nonprofits post-COVID.
Yeah.
But it really morphed into an enormous step forward for the arts in the city, I think,
And collaboration amongst.
and
people,
collaboration.
Because people
yes.
were sitting at the table.
Mhm.
I'm
It
capturing
fostered
that.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and honestly, it did evolve out of the Pandemic Relief Committee, which was separate, which had like kind of an arts subcomponent to it that then got broken off into an arts COVID relief that then morphed into this group, which is now morphing into the Cultural Commission. So, I mean, being able to articulate a step-by-step, this is what this city council did that resulted in this city council doing that, resulted in this happening over the course of probably May 2020 to the end of 2023. There's this whole sequence of events that took place.
Mhm.
So we may want to go back and acknowledge the fact that this started with the pandemic.
Mhm.
So grateful for that pandemic.
Hey, people, every time I can't. People are still asking about the pandemic everywhere I go, and it's always like, we just had a meeting with the new director of the State Council on the Arts, and she's like, so what are the silver linings from what did you learn that was good? People are still asking that question.
Mhm.
You know, and this is one of the good things that came out of it. People are working together, organizations are working together in a way that we weren't effectively realizing prior to the pandemic.
Mhm.
Other thoughts? So Barbara, I think it's going to fall on you and I to put together a little bit of a work plan on how to achieve this, and then reach out to everyone on the committee and ask for input in various areas and make sure, because one of the things I do want to make sure is that we have good representation from organizations who are involved with the committee and organizations who aren't directly involved with the committee, because you know, Mayor Beckstead formed this very specifically as arts and nonprofits, meaning the nonprofit arts organizations within the community. It was very intentional in the way that he initially wanted to do this, and it was followed on by Mayor McEachran beyond that, that it was, you know, focused on nonprofit arts leadership within the community. So I think we need to be able to effectively communicate that and make sure that we have good input from the nonprofits in the community and get a sense of effectiveness from those stakeholder groups.
So, but I remember for ArtSpeak, we used to email all the organizations and say, send us bullets that you
Yeah.
want to report, and that's how we do it. So are you suggesting that maybe the members of this committee send you a bullet about what may have happened at their organization as a direct result of this
Yeah,
committee?
it might be a nice little segue into the Cultural Commission, is that it's not just a report on the work we've done over these past 2 years, but there can be a subcomponent of the state of arts and culture in Portsmouth at this moment.
Mhm.
I think that might be nice.
Mhm.
Does
I think you
anyone
just get- I think you just need a framing question and then just get a couple of bullets from the people at this table.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole people, not just who's here today.
Yeah,
The more you can do to provide education on this area, I think it's critical.
yeah, I
Because,
agree.
you know, the council has started to really kind of understand a little bit more because of the number of times
Yep.
they've heard about arts, but the wider community doesn't.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think that we can probably accomplish a few goals simultaneously, reaching out to these organizations who've just heard from us about the focus groups and the surveys and everything going on with the cultural plan and with Americans for the Arts. If we reach out to them, asking them to present us with things that we can share with the city council in public at a city council meeting, and at the same time share with them that we're looking for organizational representation on the new Cultural Commission and the information on how to apply for that, we can knock all of that off in one fell swoop.
Won't the Cultural Commission already have been?
No, we're going to reach out to
Seated?
them in the next couple of weeks asking for information for the report. So by the time we get to actually
Oh,
presenting the report,
Yes, then it'll be.
that will have been formed,
Yeah.
but we have to have a long lead time on asking them for information or we won't get anything
Right.
back. So that's when we can remind them over the next couple of weeks. Send us your information for the December report to the city council, and don't forget to send a representative to apply for this.
And I should note that the deadline for applications is probably November 7th.
Right. It's a good
Election day.
segue into number 6 on the agenda, which is the Arts and Cultural Commission application. So November 7th.
Right.
The day, is that
That's Tuesday before
that's
the,
election day, right?
it is election day. That's the Tuesday before the council meeting in November, the November
Okay.
13th council meeting. And the reason I'm saying that is that you want at least 2 meetings where the mayor can appoint and then you can approve. That way you have a new cultural commission in place after the end of the December 4th meeting. So the 18th, when you're giving your report, you can hand off to the new cultural commission. You know
Interesting.
who that is.
Okay.
So.
So is the idea that the members of the new commission would be appointed on the first December meeting?
That would be, I think that was originally what we talked
Okay.
about in our subgroup as a goal, so
Yep.
that they could, if they wanted to, schedule a meeting in end of December to get running for
Okay.
January. Because when you hit at least an organizational meeting of when are we going to have our meetings, what day, what
Yep.
time, what.
Yep.
And so in January, they're prepared to elect a chair and move forward. So.
Okay.
I noticed when we set up the Public Art Review Committee, it took a few meetings before we had all of that in place, and you lose a few months.
Yeah.
In that process, so.
Remind me, how many people on the cultural commission? How many?
Is it 12 or 15?
It's 12 appointed,
Okay.
and then there's a city council rep, there's a representative from the city staff as well, so you get to 14.
Okay.
You passed.
And it's the 12 is 4 at-large community members,
Yes,
4 working artists that live in Portsmouth,
yes.
and 4 representatives from Portsmouth-based arts organizations.
Exactly. And currently we have 5 applications in. And of those 5 applications, 2 are community members, from
Okay.
what I can tell, and 3 are artists.
Okay.
You're saying right now there's only 5 applications?
There are only 5 applications in.
Oh my goodness.
So,
That's why I think it's important that when we reach out to the organizations soon and ask for this information, we at the same time say, we need representation from arts organizations at the table in this new.
And it's
Commission.
nonprofit or for-profit arts organizations.
yes,
Yes.
Yeah. So, and there's only 4.
there are only 4
Okay.
at the table. They can only serve 1 term. So
1
they
year,
don't,
right? Or
Mm,
2
it's,
years.
it's a 3-year term, I believe, but
3,
they only
okay.
get 1 term.
Got it.
And then they have to rotate off and somebody else rotates on. That way you don't end up with the same institution getting representation for a longer period of time. And there's always the possibility that some people can sit in one or the other place.
Yeah.
So like currently we have an application in from somebody who's a community member, but also an artist, right? So it could be a community or artist. We might get, if Russ applied, he could be a community member, an artist, or representing.
Yeah, so
PMAC.
for example, if someone represents PMAC for the next 3 years, I could then after that apply and be an artist and not have PMAC representation. The organizations could be different organizations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
Got it.
But we don't have any organizational.
You're getting at
applications.
least one today.
Good.
We've got someone on our team that's submitting,
Okay, good.
and I spoke with him before the meeting and it was coming in today.
Okay. Good.
Possibly myself, but someone, I know we have 5 people going to the focus groups.
Oh.
So
It's a
Yeah, we
busy
have a
week.
bunch of
Yeah,
folks.
It's a busy week, but we have a few weeks to
Yep.
get there. And worst case scenario, they don't come in and then you end up with a December 4th, December 18th appointment schedule.
Yeah.
But I'm just suggesting that it's better to go a little earlier than that.
I agree.
Because if we get to December, we've got all the land use board applications that have to be appointed. We've got HGC planning, zoning. You don't want to get caught up in all those lists of appointments. It's just a lot and somebody might get missed is my concern.
So, just so we're all clear, I just looked online. It is posted now on the city clerk's website,
Thank you.
and it says 14 regular members and 1 alternate. So 15 was in my head for some reason. So it's 1 alternate and
1 alternate.
14 regular members is what we're
And of
looking.
those 14 regular members, there's a city councilor and a staff member.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, I have an appointment with the clerk's office after this meeting to make sure that that we're clear with the applications that come in.
All right, excellent. For those who are on the call who, and this was stated earlier in the meeting, but I'll repeat it. If you have someone from your organization who's going to apply to represent your organization, there isn't a space specifically to put that in on the application. So make sure they add that after their name or something, that they're representing whatever organization that, you know, they're associated with, so that that's clear.
Mhm.
I do have a question. The person on our staff, because they don't have a residence in Portsmouth at the moment, I had them put the PMAC address as their address for the application because they're representing PMAC. Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right, cool. So
Yeah.
they can use your organization's address as their address and then just specify that they're representing the organization.
Mhm.
Any other questions about the Arts and Cultural Commission? Okay, we've got about 3 minutes left. Is there anything that we did not talk about today that people are hoping we're going to talk about or want to mention or say?
I just want to add something to the group. We've kind of been going so full force trying to get everything done. I just want to acknowledge everyone's work, and what we really have accomplished here is quite transformative in terms of what this is going to mean down the road. Having an actual arts and cultural commission that is not a separate entity or a nonprofit, but literally part of the city government. And I want us all to kind of take that in and appreciate that that's going to be important and meaningful going forward. And I don't know, we had talked a little bit about doing something in terms of celebration. I don't know whether that'll happen this year or early next year, but I think it's important for everybody to recognize just what we all did together. Because sometimes when you're working at it, you don't have the time, or you don't think to take a step back and appreciate just what you did.
I agree, Barbara. I second that.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thanks, Barb.
Mhm.
Thank you.
We can have a potluck lunch. Have a party.
There's a party in our
Thanks,
future.
Barb.
Somewhere, sometime, there's a party in our future.
I'll close Pleasant Street.
There we go. Awesome. All right. Thank you, everyone. We will be in touch with what we need to move forward to prepare for the November meeting, and hope to see you all then. Everyone have a great week, and I hope to see many of you on Thursday, but if not, we totally understand. All right. Take care. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Tell me
Thank you.
when the
Thank you.
recording stopped.